When moon.
Hard-hitting fucking questions. Hard-hitting motherfucking questions to you, Brad Garlinghouse.
You want to take one? Go for it. The first one's for you.
Where the goddamn bank money at, bitch?
Where's
the goddamn bank money, motherfucker? Where is it?
I think we will surprise ourselves by this time. And by the way, I'll also predict.
Where's the goddamn bank money, motherfucker? Where?
So I think it's not a very big leap. So the question, I think, was in the next few years. I think certainly you're going to see central governments that have digital currency within the next few years.
25 countries, live, price go down. What the fuck is going on, bitch? Hard-hitting fucking questions, motherfucker. Goddamn Justin Timberlake, Backstreet Boy Wonder, fucking motherfucker.
So actually, I probably spend 20% of my time flying around the world. And so that means that myself, as well as others on the Ripple team, are...
You better hope this ain't no fucking scam, Brad Garlinghouse. Because in time, the truth comes out, motherfucker. You're either going to be a scam, or we're going to get fucking rich. Which one is it? That's another hard-hitting fucking question for your pansy ass. Which one is it, bitch?
Okay. There were some more questions up there, but I think we're good for today. I do want to thank the audience for joining us today.
Where's the goddamn bank money? Where's the goddamn bank money, motherfucker? Shit. I got Lambo dreams, motherfucker.
It's comedic, right? I think Bitcoin hex can go beyond what Bitcoin and Ethereum are doing now, in which case people can accept Bitcoin hex to pay their mining fees to miners. If Ethereum's so cheap, people won't mine it anymore. That'd be an ideal outcome for me and for anyone getting these free tokens. You're not going to 100x or 1000x in Ethereum or Bitcoin. You're not. You can 100 and 1000x in this. It's real easy math, right?
Hello, Hexicans, and we are live. Welcome to the Unrekt Aussie Cruise live show. We do this once a week. And we've got Sammy Chicker here backstage. How you going, Sammy?
Hey, good. How are you?
Excellent. Lovely hair today.
Oh, thanks.
Brushed out. Bit cold down in Melbourne, is it?
Yeah, it's always cold down here, Bleep. I'm really, really cold, actually. What about up there?
Nice and sunny. Yeah, it's pretty beautiful. Got to have the sunnies out for today. It's a bit bright and glary. And so today we have got on all the way from the United States of America, technical analysis whiz kid Jenkiz. How you going, bro?
Hello to both of you. Good to see both of you formally meet. This is pretty cool. I'm excited.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. How you guys doing over there in Australia?
Good. Bit cold, but good.
Yeah, the future's looking good, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so welcome to the show and stuff like that. Let's just get into it and just give us a bit of background to who you are, Jenkiz, and what your crypto journey has been. How did you find crypto? What's been happening since you've been in it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off a trader. So I've been trading for some years now, probably 6 to 7 years. I started off doing Forex trading, got real good with the charts, technical analysis, all that. Made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. You know how trading goes. After all the ups and downs and the frustrations, it kind of led me towards crypto, probably in the last 3 to 4 years, really into Bitcoin. And then I started learning, the altcoins like Ethereum when they just first came out and stuff like that. Slowly made that transition. I realized, buying coins as opposed to just trading my money, I saw more steady growth with that. And then just with that, I have a couple friends I trade with. One of my friends is a big time crypto guy. He finds every, small altcoin in the world. He'll throw like 1 million of them at me a day. And then Hex just so happened to be one of them probably, months and months ago. And then I looked into it, came across Richard Hart and everything. And once I really got into Hex and I just saw the difference between Hex and every other crypto in the entire world and the results that I got so quick, it was just a no-brainer just to shift my entire portfolio and focus into something like Hex. And then from the day I got in there, yeah, it's just kind of been all up from there, you know. That's probably, I would say, yeah, Hex is probably the biggest game-changing thing personally for myself. In my entire financial like world, let alone, you know, just on the blockchain or in the markets alone. But yeah, so I've been trading for some years now. New-ish, I'm new-ish to Hex, but I'm very familiar with it. It's been my life for, you know, some months now, but I wish I was a day one, you know, Hexican like most of you guys, but it's still super early. So I got in still under a penny, but I'm still buying, you know, the dips just under 6 pennies, and I'll still keep buying it till we're, you know, when we're dollars one day.
So when you were like used to come across new coins and you like wanted to, you know, trade them, would you purely look at the TA, the technical analysis, or would you also go into like more of the macro, what's happening within the space around that coin, what people are saying, what their founders are saying, or stuff like that? Or how would you balance, or would you do both, and how would you balance those two things out?
It was a mix of everything. So like with trading, everything's so hit or miss. So when it came with new coins, if I was trying to buy a new, you know, shit coin, what people like to call them, there usually when they first come out, there is no technical analysis. You just try to get in early before, you know, money floods into it, and you just try to catch that quick 10 to 100x. Most of the time, they are rug pulls or scams. So if I put money in, you never get it out or whatnot. But with crypto specifically, I mean, obviously you can't research the person who made Bitcoin. I mean, Satoshi's kind of just a big anon, you know. At least Vitalik with Ethereum is a little bit. I didn't look too much into him, but the Ethereum network is pretty interesting as I got through it. But I never really did look into who made the coins. But just looking into Hex, it's so deeply tied to Richard Hart that it's kind of hard to hear about Hex and not hear about Richard. And I watched, you know, a couple of his videos, and then that just turned into a whole rabbit hole I dove into with him, hours and hours and hours, and just listening to him speak, I'm like, okay, this guy is onto something. He knows what he's talking about, and he just so happened to make a coin that addresses every issue that all these other cryptos have given me in the past. And it seems just, it's like perfect. It's like the most perfect thing on the blockchain right now.
Yeah. So when you were trading, did you have like your bag, which was your kind of more long-term hold stuff, and then you had a certain amount, which was just for the play, like seeing if you could catch those big pumps and or whatever, or like, and then what ratio did you kind of do between those?
Yeah. So when I was trading, so I guess this is before I switched my entire, you know, portfolio over to a much safer route with Hex and everything. But when I first started, it was like, yeah, I'd say probably 90% is like in my trade account, the real money I'm messing with, because the more liquidity you have, the more you can risk, you know, in your trades. But I would say probably like 10%. Like those are some of those coins you can throw like $100, $200 in, you know, little smaller amounts, and then those can sometimes turn to a couple thousand just like that. But like I said, the chances of that ever happening with those random coins is maybe 1 out of 15, you know, if you're lucky. But yeah, I never really put too much into buying like those shitty new coins, but it was mostly in trading when I first started, at least.
Yeah, right. And how'd you go with it? Do you reckon, like, overall, did you make money, or did you lose money, or break about even, or?
With my early days in crypto, probably break it even. Trading days, I would say I'm net made money, but sometimes like, you can make so much money in trading, but like it doesn't relieve the pain of any of those big losses, you know. If you make, say you make $300 profit and you lose 100, that hurts. If you make 3,000, you lose 1,000, that hurts. If you make, you know, 10,000 and you lose 2,500, that's still a smaller percent, but that's still, like, you know, losing money hurts in trading, you know.
Yeah.
So I would say net profit in trading, definitely, but it was just too emotional. It was hard to not keep my emotions attached to it, so I needed alternative routes.
Yeah, they say that the psychological impact of losing money is like exponentially greater than the high of making paper money.
Oh, yeah, and that's so true too. I mean, so I don't know if anybody like watching, or if you guys have felt heartbreak before in a relationship, that's nothing to, you know, losing money trading. You know, there's real heart pain when you lose money trading. It's not fun. No matter how much you make, those losses they're always gonna hurt, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And so after you like found Hex, did you pretty much like, do you not trade now?
No, so I do, but like tiny percent of my portfolio. I'm talking like maybe a couple $100 in a trade account, flip it every now and then. But even if I say, say I turn a couple hundred into 1,000, I'll take that profit and then I'll not trade for like a week or so, a couple weeks, just because I don't want to go back to those old thought patterns that were just ultimately destructive. It's just not a smart thing to do, especially if you're in crypto. Like if you're in crypto, you don't want to tie crypto into trading. It's just not a good thing, especially with how volatile it is. But so I do still trade, but that's maybe 3 to 5% of my focus today.
Right. And do you try to trade Hex at all?
No, no. Anything Hex is buy. Just buy, buy, and hold. That's the purpose of it. That's the only smart way to do it. Although it does outperform normal coins, but the smart way to do it is just buy and just get a hold of those T-shares. That's my only focus right now. I'll worry about selling Hex when we're dollars one day, if then.
Yeah, right. And what are you doing? Are you setting up like staking ladders, or how are you kind of organizing it?
Yeah. So definitely staking ladders, but they're so back heavy. Like I'm like you max out those T shares, 10 to 15 years in those stakes. So I'm really heavy in the back end. I do have some shorter term ones, but my goal right now with those short term stakes is probably just to restake them. Who knows? God forbid I don't need to withdraw that money anytime soon. I'm not going to, but yeah, I do have a staking ladder just because it's always nice when you see those, 10, 20x, you want to see some of that, but definitely with Hex, like there's other coins you can still make money on without having to touch your own Hex,
Yeah, right. So wow, so you've mainly got stuff out 10 to 15 years, hey?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's the entire purpose of it. I'm going to maximize those T-shares early. I definitely did that, so.
Yeah. Now, definitely that's the way how to maximize the best out of the system. Do you ever get worried that, like for some of that stuff, you get to year 5 and it's just worth such an astronomical amount of money that you'll be tempted to EES it, or how do you kind of?
No. So, I mean, the temptation is there. It's natural for humans to feel that, but no, I mean, I know what I'm getting and I know what the payout per day is for just not to emergency end stake, because it's like the moment you switch that Hex into cash, it's kind of like it's a dead end. It's like once it's cash, it only goes down and you're done. You're not going to see those gains anymore. It's kind of like there's no excitement in there. I like to just live every day now knowing that like I'm getting paid basically residual income through Hex for at least 15 years right now, so that's a good feeling. And I think every stake you end, and especially emergency end stake, you take away from that, and it's just not worth it. There's, like I said, there's other coins that you can get short-term money on. Hex you could, but like just hold.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to miss out on millions by withdrawing thousands is basically the point.
Yeah, I guess it's more just that also, like that ratio. Like, I don't know, maybe it's also because I'm a bit older that I do want a bit of a ratio of liquid Hex that I can always just chuck out so that I can spend in my life. And, by far my majority is all staked out into the future. But I kind of did really regular stakes. Like I did monthly 15-year stake kind of thing. And I'm keeping now, I've got a bit liquid, and partially that's being kept so that I can do a sacrifice for Pulse. But I always want to have that little bit of liquid there in case I do need it. I guess this is my main savings account, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, in my actual money account in the world, I normally just spend what I get, or I go into credit card debt, you know what I mean, and then come back up. And so I just kind of like, it's always around that kind of zero. But yeah, like, so do you keep liquid Hex as well for that kind of stuff, or do you just like stake it out as soon as you get a certain amount kind of thing?
So this might sound crazy, I'm not sure, but before the whole Pulse Chain announcement sacrifice phase thing came out, I was 100% staked, like literally 100%. Now every dip I've been buying just kept it liquid for now, and I'm just using it purposely for the sacrifice. But yeah, no, if I have Hex, I'm staked, and some of them are no more than a year. I have a couple just short term ones, so I'll see that money soon, but just not like tomorrow. But I don't need to see it tomorrow. Like that's a key thing with investing money too, is just don't put money in that you're gonna need. That'd be probably the best advice. There's no financial advice coming from me at all, but that'd be like my best tip, is just don't put in money that you need, because you won't get as tempted when time does come, you see it do a 10, 20x or whatnot.
Yeah, cool. Have you got any questions, Sammy? I don't want to monopolize the question asking.
No, so it's good to meet you, Jenkins, finally. And
Likewise.
great to hear that you're getting right into hex. Sorry about my dog. I've got a new pup and she's a real pain in the bum. She keeps barking.
Very
If
nice.
it's annoying, just let me know. Yeah, so how exciting, because you've got pups coming out soon, and I bet you're looking forward to that, because it's kind of like a second chance for people who didn't get into hex on day one. So
Yeah.
now you'll be able to get into Pulse on day one. So that's a bit exciting. Which part of the States are you from?
So from Chicago. So Chicago's my town as of right now. So Chicago. I'm sure most people are familiar with that city, even if you're not from the States. But yeah, definitely, this is where I've been the majority of my life.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you're talking about trading. I'm a hopeless trader. Like, I've been in crypto for a few years.
So bad.
And I've tried it. I thought, look, it's gone up. I'll sell a little bit and then buy back in. But that anxiety,
Yeah.
like I fully like sweat and my stomach just starts jumping and I start worrying. And then I just end up like buying back in at like whatever.
Higher.
Like, I just can't handle it anymore. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
It's all good. We still hear you. But no, that's true. Oh yeah, go ahead.
What do you reckon in terms of the pulse sacrifice? Are you kind of like, are you thinking of having some liquid hex and some to sacrifice, or are you just like saving up to sacrifice as much as possible now, and you'll get all your stakes over on the other side anyway? So
Yeah. My approach right now, and things are subject to change because polls are still details, but I'm thinking right now just trying to stack up as much liquid as I can just to sacrifice it, because I have enough stake that when those copy, I'll be great. And then I'll just keep buying on both chains. I'm still like, I really mean that when I tell people, like I tell new people that are trying to get to hex, like it's still early, although prices already did, 1,000x. It's still early. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is, because I'm still continuously buying the dips before we're getting to dollars and everything. So yeah, my approach right now, I'm just loading up liquid hex, and that's going to probably be just all for the sacrifice. But we'll see when the details start to come out. And, I'm just excited about being a day one person on another Richard Hart project, so I see what happened for a lot of people in hex, and I'm reaping a lot of the rewards too, because I got in early, but not as early. But yeah, I definitely want to front load this opportunity day one as of right now.
yeah, I really think it is just time in the market for hex. Like, I didn't get in that day one. I got in like halfway through the launch phase, and that's when I found out about it, and just having spent a year in it now, like I've seen amazing gains as well. I think it's really just a matter of time with hex. Actually,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a matter of time, because I know I'm a big technical analysis guy. I look at charts, I dissect them. But with Hex, it's kind of like, it's one of those things where the technicals look very, very, very good on it, but it's one of those where it's just bound to just break everything and it's just like the levels that Hex does is almost you can't really comprehend how much it could explode. I was looking at all like the past charts and everything, especially April of 2020. I'm just like, it's just a ticking time bomb before it just explodes. And you just don't want to be one of those, like, what does Richard Hart call it? ROMO, like the regret of missing out people that, you kind of see the chart, then you see it explode. You just don't see any of that reward from that happening. I saw that happen one too many times in trading, and especially watching Bitcoin and Ethereum at, Bitcoin under 1,000, Ethereum under 100 and everything like that. I'm just looking at the chart every day. They're going. And it's coming, but it's like, I just wasn't making money in Hex and Pulse. I'm like, no. I know where it's going, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna, cash out with everyone else that's in it, So, but yeah, it is a matter of time. It's gonna happen sooner than I think that we can really hope. No, it's gonna happen sooner than we expect, but just a matter of time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were telling me before you haven't done a video for a few days because you were saving up a bit of the TA for us today.
Yeah.
Should we get into it and have a look at like your squiggles and lines?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely show you guys my stuff. I made a stream 4 days ago with some updates. I haven't really done much in the charts yet, so I'm like, yeah, we can look at them raw now, see where things are going, kind of dive into, like, I guess my mind on the charts, what I look for, and also see, show you guys some key levels too. There's some good stuff in the hex chart and everything like that. So I'll definitely show you guys some stuff if you want to see it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So I have to share my screen. So let's see. How?
Oh, you see that
here we
little?
go.
You see the computer screen with the red thing through it?
Yeah,
Hit that.
got it. Okay, so here's this. Can you guys see it?
Yeah, hang on. There we go.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll put it full
Look, click.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you got to do. I know there's a lot of drawings and stuff on my charts right now. But these are all just like so if you guys have been on my streams, you guys see me draw these lines out. I try to keep them nice and clean, but I keep certain levels circled and lined up just, to reference as the time goes on. One thing I do want to show people, so I guess a long-term thing, actually what I should do is show you guys more of like a long-term perspective, and then I'll show you more of like today, what to expect going forward the next couple hours or days. Let me show you this chart first. This will be like the grand scheme of things. There's some cool stuff on here. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is something. This is the entire price of Hex from the day it came out till now. So this is the entire lifespan. So one of the key, like, I guess 101 things that really help you predict the future in all charts is something called the Fibonacci. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Fibs, but basically what I did, I threw in a Fibonacci on the entire price of Hex from the lowest low all the way to the highest high, which just happened, a few weeks ago. And there's some things that I wanted to point out there. So
actually, just before you do that, like,
Yeah.
what is a definition of the Fibonacci scale? Like, that's a scale of growth, is it, or what's the actual definition?
Yeah, so basically, to keep it simple, I mean, there's a whole ratio behind Fibonacci, just in terms of life. There's just like a golden ratio of numbers that like physics follows in this world, and the charts in the markets is just one of those things. But basically, it's just like, I would say, to make it simple, it's just a rhythm that the markets follow. There's certain fib levels that just do a measurement of the, like, I guess, the overall algorithm of the charts that kind of give you big time levels where money's eventually going to go. I just consider all these big levels that I'll point out to you guys as magnets, that it's kind of inevitable that these prices will get hit. It's just a matter of time, whether it's up or down. But yeah, Fibonacci is just kind of like an algorithm that kind of helps you forecast just certain levels. And there's a lot of math that goes into it.
So is that
just, like I said,
so is that something they did where they looked at how plants grow, or how things, like how nature grows out in time, over time, and it has these certain patterns, and they put in these patterns to the price of a market? Is that what it kind of is?
like, yeah, to an extent, like, yeah, no. So I'm no Fibonacci expert, but I guess to keep it simple, like, yeah, so it is like an algorithm. There's a certain algorithm that physics follows in this world. And for the charts, like I said, just to keep it simple for the people that are looking at the charts, it's just something that once I point out all these levels and you guys kind of see how price bounces off of everything, it just makes sense that, like, once you see the reactions, like, for example, there's a certain level called the 618. That's like the ultimate gold ratio number that, like, everything will touch that number if you really look at the rhythm of it. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you said something. But yeah. So just to keep it like super simple, it's just, yeah, one of those things where based on the algorithm of the actual market, it helps you forecast levels that are beyond the all-time highs, because, when you're looking at price action, you look at certain levels and, numbers that price has already hit in the past. And it's hard to project the future without, having something like a Fibonacci kind of give you that algorithmic projection for you, So it's pretty complex, but I guess that's a simple way to explain it.
Okay, so is that exponential growth? Is that what a Fibonacci is?
Yeah, like, I guess a forecast to kind of project, I guess the exponential growth.
Right.
But I'll show you. So basically, what I did. So from the very bottom, the number 0 to the very top, it's a whole number of 1, and there's certain percentages in between that price is just going to naturally retrace to. So so this bottom level, whoops, let me zoom out. So this bottom level is all you see is 0 right there, and then this top level is 1.0. So that's like the whole level. And then you can see there's 0.786, 0.618, 0.5. These are levels in between that whole number. And then you can see, don't mind the long black horizontal lines, but you can see 1.618, 2.618. Those are the levels that I keep, because that 618, I would just say, for people that don't understand Fibonacci, just look at a 618 if you're not going to look at any other number. And then when I forecast things, those 618 numbers really help me out. And like I said, you can put a Fibonacci on any chart in the entire world on any time frame, and it will, point out key levels. It's not the end all be all. It's not going to be perfect, but it does really show you where like the bulk of the money will go after impulses. Because markets always move in wave patterns where there's an impulse, a correction, an impulse, then it corrects. So whenever you get an impulse, if you throw a Fibonacci on that actual impulsive move, you can kind of project where the retracement's going to get to know exactly where to buy the dip, or at least have a good idea of it.
Like probability that it'll go to that or that.
Oh yeah. So I would say this is probably one of the most, for like basic trading or technical analysis 101, I would say a Fibonacci is probably one of the tools I would recommend to everybody. That's probably the most helpful. And it's complex trying to understand it, but if you just look at the numbers and put the actual Fibonacci, on the impulses and everything, it's really easy to read after you do it a few times. But so what I wanted to show real quick is so if I put the Fibonacci all the way from the ultimate bottom all the way to the total top, the 618 level is actually it hit a key point that we were all paying attention to a few weeks ago. So early in May, end of April, early May, we saw that massive impulse from 1.5 pennies all the way to almost 7 pennies. It did hit 7 pennies in some exchanges, but then we saw the bull flag, and everyone on Twitter was talking about this bull flag. I know you guys saw these tweets of people showing the bull flag and everything, projecting price to do stuff like this. And the reason why it's called the bull flag is because if you draw it out, it really does look like there's a flagpole right here, and then there's literally a flag on the flagpole. And for people that don't know, a bull flag is just bull means the price is going up, bear means price go down, bullish, bearish. So yeah, that's what a bull flag is. But with this bull flag, something that stood out to me that was very key, that was a very bullish sign and shows that this correction we're having now is healthy, is that with this Fibonacci on the ultimate price of Hex, this golden level, the 618, is the red line. I made it red for you guys. This bull flag basically bottomed out in this area. You saw the bull flag. It tapped this area one time, and this is on the daily chart. So every candle you guys see is 1 day. So this is like the bulk of the price. This isn't just wicks on the hour chart or anything. No, this is where Hex ultimate price was. It pulled back to the 618 level, and we basically bottomed out there. We did have a wick down to, I'll show you guys when I go to the hour chart, another key level, but the price really did respect the 618 level. So now we're just kind of waiting for, all the weak hands to kind of sell their price a little bit before we get this next, push up. Another pattern that you guys should always look out for are like these pendant patterns, or I call them triangles to keep them simple. But basically, when you see a higher high and then a lower high and a lower high at the top of the pattern, but then you see a higher lows follow each other. So you see the highs are getting lower and the highs are getting lower and the lows are getting higher. It creates this sort of triangle pattern. When this happens, that means price is basically just loading up. There's a lot of bids on each side, and that means I consider it like tension. So there's a lot of tension in price right here, and anytime a triangle pattern like this forms, price explodes one way or another. So with that being said, I'll go to the short-term charts for you guys. I at least want to show you that 618 because that's a key level.
So
let me go to my
people. It's kind of like the market is not sure which way it's going, and you can see people trying to decide. And so when they do decide, you think everyone will just jump on that train and go to the move up or to the move down.
Yeah, and it's like we don't know who controls the markets, but like big people that are in markets that I guess trade or whatnot or invest, for the most part, people that put big money in kind of have at least a basic understanding of how charts move. So I would say Fibonacci is probably a basic tool for most people, especially if you have big money. And then, it's basically a huge psychological level for everybody. There's a lot of people that know the Fibonacci and probably threw it on there the same way that I did, especially big money players. And that's where they're buying it at, holding the price up. Also too, so there's something that was key because there's what they're called Elliott Waves. And Elliott Waves are just basically like a market wave pattern. There's usually a 3-wave move and a 5-wave move that are simple to watch out for. So in this scenario, the reason why I bring that up is because as you see, for all the way from October of 2020 till about March of this year, we see price right here. essentially moved sideways. You know, there was the dip that was way under here for, you know, about a month or two, but essentially for, you know, a few months, we just did nothing but move.
That was the big payday dump.
Yeah, exactly. So with the big payday dump and everything, like, like I don't really that's why I draw this white rectangle here, because that was more of a fundamental dip. Like, it wasn't the technicals that really caused that dip. It was just more of like, okay, the big payday dump happened and then price just corrected itself. When it corrected itself, it stayed moving sideways. So I call this a price trap. Prices trap between two levels. So the first level up the top was about 1.5 penny, 1.4. You saw there's 1, 2, almost 3, 4 taps in this general area. But then also the bottom here was, you know, 7/10 of a penny, so 0.007. You see, we had a tap here, disregard the big payday, and then a tap here, tap here, tap here. So we're just moving sideways. This is just like those triangle patterns I was telling you. When price moves sideways, it's building a lot of tension. What I like to see in a healthy market after a break out of a price trap is the beginning of just those Elliott waves. And that's exactly what Hex is forming right now. So on the grand scheme of things, if we just draw out the waves, look at, so it starts with an impulse and then a correction. So it's wave 1, wave 2. And then it shoots up for wave 3. Right now we're doing a wave 4, okay? And then obviously after 4, we get a wave 5. So this is a very bullish sign for Hex overall. Keep in mind, this is the daily chart, so this could materialize, you know, a little bit longer than we would hope. It might test some patience a little bit, but a key thing that makes this Elliott wave so strong for me with the technicals is that this top that we had in this price trap area was what we call a resistance level. The resistance flipped into a support. So once we finally broke it, that exact level became the new floor. It was the ceiling, it flipped into a floor, and then price just skyrocketed from there. So now with this current dip that we had to find the new bottom. And that's where that Fibonacci came into play, that whole 618 level. Because this is our first time really being, you know, this high in price. We don't really have previous price action to find a level of, you know, support or resistance. So that's where the Fibonacci comes into play, because now it projects a new level for us to bounce off of. And ironic enough, that golden ratio 618, bam, right there. So I have charts that I've been doing over the past couple of weeks that I was telling people, you know, these are the probably the best areas to buy. This 3.5 penny range was a key level, and I'll show you that in just a second. But yeah, so basically to round that up, we're in the midst of a 5-wave pattern still till this day. So Hex is just loading up that price, and it's, if I had to guess, once it breaks out of this triangle pattern, we're probably breaking up. And once we break this all-time high of 6.5 pennies, I mean, the next target we're looking at, according to the Fibonacci, the next major target is about 11 cents, 11.5, let's say. So that's very bullish news for Hex, especially for the people who have been under a penny. But even if you get in now at just under, we're at 5.5, just over 5.5 pennies. You can still get a 2x right away without waiting too long. Like I said, no financial advice, but let me show you guys something short term now. So that was just the long term thing. So anybody that is in Hex, like myself, I'm still buying the dip till this day. Anybody that's not in Hex, it is still very early, and these technicals really show us that there's a practical reason for us to move up here very soon. So let me just stop this. Sorry, you're gonna see my big face for a second. Let me do this.
Also, just because you've just been asked if you have a YouTube channel, so maybe it's a good time to.
Oh yeah, yes. So YouTube, what is my YouTube? It's Jenkiz Crypto. Jenkiz with a Z Crypto. I just made the channel like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, I'll look it up. I've got it here somewhere. I'll post the link in the chat.
It's like the opposite of my Twitter name. Yeah, so by the way, I didn't mention that about myself. So I've been in crypto for a long time. I just started doing like Twitter, like social media and YouTube streaming like almost 2 weeks ago. I know, Sammy, you saw me. Like, you're the first person I really talked to on Twitter, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, I just started doing the social media thing recently because I just felt like I had, you know, some value to provide. So I figured, let me just do it and help people. Not help people. I mean, yeah, help people out, but like, you know, just kind of give us all a good perspective, a realistic, practical approach, and it all looks bullish, whether you look at the details or you don't.
Yeah, sure.
I can't find it right at the moment. What was your if they saw it in YouTube? How would they find it?
Let me see. Let me try to type it in.
Have you got it on your Twitter handle, Jenkins?
Yeah. So my Twitter handle. Yeah. If you go to my bio, there's a YouTube link there. It should be to my YouTube channel.
Okay, I'll grab that. Oh yeah, Jenkins. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, I'll post it.
I might only have like 5 videos in the past 2 weeks, but yeah, I'll have a ton of content. I do this all day, every day anyways. I just figure let me just record it because it can help some people out, you know?
For sure.
And then yes, also too, stop me if I talk a lot and like I could just go on for hours and hours. Just stop me if you need to. No hard feelings. I get it. So I know I spit out a bunch of information at once.
So you're going to go to some more short-term stuff, will you?
Yeah. I'm gonna bust up this chart for more of a short term because I know it's what people care about. I at least wanted to show the long term stuff first, just to show you guys overall we're bullish, we're looking good. So this is short term. This is the 4-hour chart. So this is the big bull flag I just pointed out, the one that was all the way from like all of March. We hit that all-time high of 6.5 penny. We pulled back, and then now we're correcting into this triangle kind of pattern or pennant kind of pattern. So there's some cool things to keep in mind here. So that Fibonacci, like the other chart had the Fibonacci on the all-time price of Hex. This one, I threw the Fibonacci on the impulse because like I said, once you hit an all-time high, you have an impulse that breaks all-time highs, that Fibonacci is really going to help you figure out those next levels. And I have a next major target here. I'll get into that in a second. But for short-term stuff, there's some key things we're priced today. So let me delete these lines off. Yeah, these red ones, we don't need that. Whoops. Try to make this a little more clear. So all these like ovals and rectangles, like they have a meaning, I promise. It's just like if you guys watch my old videos, you'll see where they came from. That's where we kind of projected price from the past and everything. This was this next major target here it was actually sitting right here when we had this impulse, and you can see we achieved that and price respected it. I totally expected price to hit this level and then kind of just, chill out here for a little while. So this is all fully normal. But so with this bullish flag that we just had, the past month and a half or whatnot, you had the flag pull. Whoops. Hang on, sorry. It isn't flag there, and then bam, we're doing that 5th wave. So what's key about this? And it goes hand with that 618. Remember, on the all-time chart, the 618 level was the bottom of this, okay, of this bull flag. So with the short-term one, I threw the Fibonacci on this impulse here. And, our 618 level was right around here. As you can see, price came down, tapped it. Let me zoom in more for you guys. Price came down, tapped it, played it around, finally broke it, and then we kind of messed around with it, flirted with it for a little bit, then we finally ripped through. Whenever you rip through, like, past a 618 level, yeah, this 0.5 level is key. As you guys can tell, look, the price did tap it one time and came up, but the next major level that's under 618 is this 0.38 level right here. So when I was walking this down, you guys can check my older YouTube videos. When I was walking this down, we were probably around right here when I started doing my streams. And I was telling everybody I would not be shocked to see Hex hit this 3.5 penny range before we start our next Elliott wave up. And you can see that's exactly what's happening. The reason why I was able to find that is because, yeah, anytime you have a big impulse, you want to see a correction. A healthy correction is always going to move price to one of these key Fibonacci levels. Ideally, it would have been a 618 level, but we got this. This is literally a picture-perfect bull flag, by the way. But this bull flag took us all the way down to this 0.38 level. You can see we just got a nice sharp wick there, so price tapped it, and we haven't seen 3.5 pennies since. So I don't think, with that being said, we're going to go any lower than 3.5 pennies, hopefully ever again, but anytime soon at least. But I would say this 3.5 penny range is probably going to be the biggest major support level Hex will see if it ever does decide to come down again. I doubt it will anytime soon. But yeah, so that's pretty cool to see that, the Fibonacci's go hand in hand, like I said, on the long-term charts, short-term charts. You can put it on any chart for any currency in the world. It'll still project out the same way. But after bouncing off this 0.38 level right here, I was kind of walking it down saying, I do fully expect us to kind of come up, maybe touch these all-time highs. It happened a lot quicker than I expected, but we got there. But when we got all-time highs, I definitely expected, it to kind of get muddy here, price to kind of bounce back a little bit. And that's exactly what's happening. This is fully normal. So going forward with this, if I do a little bit, I'm going to delete this Fibonacci now that you guys saw that, those levels. There's a key trend line here that I want to see us follow, and this is just basic technical analysis. Trend lines are trend lines. These are the cool things. This was something I wanted to see. So I used this top right here. There's a wick right here, and I put it through. I'll show you guys with the line. So something like this. This trend is going to go all the way through like here. But the reason we're started, I always start where there's a top before and the top of a correction before the impulse. And then once the impulse right here kind of flips this trend line and turns it into a bottom, that usually means it's going to probably follow that when you're projecting is going forward. And then after the bull flag, it came down, hit that 318 level, and just ironic enough, that 318 level is, you know, on exactly where that trend line kind of is. So what I was talking about a few days ago on my last stream, I was expecting Hex to kind of do like a mini Elliott wave, but not even an Elliott wave. So I wanted to see it form what's called like a W. So basic patterns in the charts, when you see markets move, you might see like M's and like W's when it kind of moves solid, like almost consolidates, but doesn't really like impulse as much. And that's kind of what we're forming right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5-wave Elliott pattern would be something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is probably what we're going to see soon. But before price kind of got strong here, I saw this too. We formed an M already. So after we form M's, a lot of times if you're bullish, W's form right after. So if I delete that off, we can start a new W in the making. So we're in the process of this right here, right now. It's like a sideways kind of corrected W. And we might see something like this happen. What I wanted to see was price hit this 4.5 penny range. My very last video, I told everybody, look out for 4.5 pennies. I just expected that 4.5 penny to happen somewhere over here, because if we can make it picture perfect, we would want to see it tap, you know, this trend line here, just to make the technical analysis of guys happy. You know, I kind of get OCD with stuff like that, but it's okay, because I mean, if Hex is, you know, just going to stay bullish, I'm all for it because we're getting paid. So with that being said, I would not be shocked to see Hex. Still, I would say there's still a chance we can come test this 4.5 penny range, but we might be past that. And the reason why, I'm going to draw a line. So the best way to find levels is just to find like one horizontal line where a price taps it a lot. And this is a good one right here. So if I draw a line right here at this 4.6-ish penny range, you see price and this impulse tapped it, respected it, broke it, turned it into a floor, and then after we hit the top, we bounced it 1, 2, 3, you know, a million times. Then we kind of finished off this pattern, and now we're back tapping it again. So this is a level that I think is our short-term support. I don't think we're going to go under 4.5 pennies anytime soon. Hopefully, we already got our last touch there, but that is a possibility. If you're an investor and you're trying to get into Hex, I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't just wait around. I would say just get in, because it's not going to make a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. So that's that. But right here, right now, today, there's a very key level that we have to look out for, and we're actually on it. This 5.8 penny range, this has been a range I've been talking about for probably like a month now. I wanted to see our all-time highs break 5.8, come back and turn that into a support. So you saw the first time we broke it, and this level didn't hold at all. It actually stayed a resistance. As you can see, a price wicked it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That shows us there's a lot of money sitting there. So ideally, when we break this level where money's sitting at, you want to see it flip into a support line. So once we got the second tap of the all-time high, price kind of tapped it a little bit. It respected it one time. It was looking good for a minute, and then it just broke down again. So right here, right now, we're breaking it a third time. The good news is we broke it, and right now we're in the exact area. We're sitting on that level right here, right now as we speak. I would not be shocked to see the moment we turn this 5.8 penny support line into a support, it's going to take off. We had enough touches already at the 6.5 penny all-time high that once we break it finally, there'd be nothing stopping us until we get to about the 7.77 to 8.5 penny range. That's why it's my next target. And Fibonacci levels kind of help me find that area. I think the only short-term thing that we're going to have trouble with is just the 6.4 penny all-time high. We might get a third or fourth touch there. We might see ourselves kind of flirt with this 4.5 penny range. We might even see something like this. We could. No, actually, never mind. I would say we were price trapped, but no, we probably won't see that. But once we break this 6.5 penny range and turn this into a support, we're going to 7.77 pennies. And nothing should stop us outside of just the 7 penny whole psychological level range. For whatever reason, like whole levels are convenient levels for humans that want to buy and sell, like 7 pennies flat, 6.5, 6, 5.5. So that's just something to look out for. But once we break this, we can see something. Say this is the impulse right now. We could be starting a pattern of an Elliott wave. 1, 2, if we flip this into support, maybe break this, hit that 7 penny range. 3, ideally, we would turn this 6.5 penny range into a support line, and then bam, once we hit that, our next stop, nothing should slow us down to 7.77. So short term, I do see 7.77 pennies. I do think the local low we might see, if you're an investor, if we're lucky, maybe 4.5. But yeah, we're looking bullish short term as of right now.
Actually, just putting on your trader hat, like let's say that you were not interested in staking and you just wanted to trade and you just wanted to time things. Like looking at the Hex chart as a trader,
Yeah.
would it be an attractive thing to try to time or is it I'm just thinking like because it's Uniswap that you have to mainly trade against the USDC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you could. It'd be expensive to make those trades, so it'd be hard to make lots of little trades, wouldn't it? And then if you wanted to do like on an exchange, I guess you'd have to trade against like Bitcoin, wouldn't you? So,
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
well, I'm just kind of curious, like I'm just curious if there are a lot of people like day trading Hex, or if it's something that you would just go, no, I'm just going to like try to buy dips and hold on like you've done. Or like, would a trader kind of look at this chart and go, yeah, I'm going to make some money here kind of thing?
Yeah. So definitely. So if someone's a trader and they know nothing about Hex, the fundamentals behind it, or just what the product is or the technology behind it, excuse me. Yeah, if somebody knew nothing about Hex, I can see people selling at 6. I mean, clearly people are selling at 6.5 pennies. There's like, for whatever reason, the price can't break that right now. There's just so much sell pressure right there. If you're a trader and you know even 1% about what Hex is, there's no chance you want to trade and risk selling it. If you try selling Hex, you're playing with fire. There's so many other things you can trade that are more likely to drop than Hex. Everything in crypto does have its big dips, but it's just a matter of time. Yeah, I would not suggest anybody, if you are even touching Hex whatsoever, don't trade it. Just buy and hold. And like I said, put money in you don't want to lose, because that's the whole purpose of it. Stake it, so you have no choice but to lock it and then earn interest on it. But I mean, yeah, if you're a trader, like if I'm just pretending this chart is not Hex, I'm just looking at it. I want to get in a trade right now. What would I do? Well, I'll show you. Let me see. Let me go to the 1 hour chart real quick. Right here, right now. I mean, man, I would honestly take this risk of buying this support level. I would go into this trade with good faith that this 5.8 penny range is finally turning into a support level, and I would buy it. And if I had to put a stop loss in, it's going to be under 4.5 pennies, so you leverage properly. Like I said, that's not financial advice. I do not recommend that. Don't trade it. But if I had to just answer the question, I would put my money on this 5.8 finally turning into a support level, and us at least getting to 6.5, kind of like a scalp. But yeah, once we break that 6.5, we're all up. But yeah, I guess hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking out loud, and like I wonder whether like once the Pulse chain comes into existence, like I wonder if there will be a lot more people trying to day trade Hex on the Pulse chain, because the transactions are so cheap. Like
yeah.
Like, and I wonder what effect that will have on the price. Will it make it more volatile, or I don't know.
There's a lot of question marks behind that. I would say if you're silly enough to even question selling your Hex or shorting Hex for whatever reason, don't do it when Pulse Chain comes out. I mean, like typically if there's news involved with your chart, news always moves the market, whether the news is fake or real. Obviously, Pulse Chain is as real as it gets when it comes to news. That is probably the most bullish fundamental signal Hex can have, whether it's E-Hex, P-Hex, Pulse, whatever it is. I would not even mess with touching Hex, shorting or selling at that time, just because the hype alone will at least give it a short-term pump. At least I would guess.
Well, you can't short it at the moment, can you? There's no way to short Hex.
Yeah.
It's
more,
more
I guess sell your coins.
Trying to time it, trying to buy low, sell high, wait for it to come down, buy again, wait for it to go up, or whatever.
Exactly.
I would never recommend that either, because it's so much easier just to stake it out and be collecting the interest, and then you don't give a shit if it's going up or down, and the overall pattern is going up, and so it's just an easy no-brainer for me. But I'm just curious, like, what if there are heaps of degens out there, like this space attracts risk takers.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the cutting edge of finance, and so it it attracts people who are willing to risk, and I wonder what difference those cheap transactions will have on the pulse chain to the price. Like, it'd be very interesting to compare the two charts over time.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand, because I would say definitely there's probably gonna be a lot of people that are gonna try to time it, buy the dip, sell the top, whatnot. But there's also gonna be a lot more people that are buying a lot with smaller transactions, because now if you want to put $100 in, you're not going to pay $89 in a fee. So there's going to be a lot of small money flooding in, but at the same time, yeah, that might balance out the people that are trying to time the market. There's a quote that always sticks out with crypto, is like, with Bitcoin specifically, because there's so many people that tried doing that with Bitcoin that either lost all their money when it was, hundreds of dollars or thousands. Now, they're getting nothing when it's at the $60,000 range. You see it all the time. People lost money trading Bitcoin, trying to time the market instead of just holding. But the quote that always comes to mind is, a smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. If you're in crypto and you've come far enough to find hex, you are a wise person as is, and just learn from people's mistakes in Bitcoin. We've seen it before. History repeats itself. People timing the market is just not a smart way to do it. Go trade if you want to do that, but you can go sports gamble too. You have just as much of a chance of making money there. Hex is like, if you've come this far, just do what it's designed to do and just utilize it to its full extent, and just buy it. Try to get those T-shares, stake it, earn interest, set yourself up. I really see Hex as like the only safe asset on the blockchain that savers can, put their money into. If you really want to save money, say you get a chunk of, money at home, you get a bonus on your check, and you actually want to save it. Well, if you put it into Hex and you want to save it for 2 years and you stake it for 2 years, your only obligation is just to stay true to yourself and force yourself to not touch that money, which if it's sitting in your closet cash, you can, pull into that anytime, So there's really a lot of rewards to it. But I would say for everyone, just learn from the mistakes of other people in Bitcoin, and just don't do that to yourself in Hex, because we know Hex is going to go way up. It'll be dollars eventually, and there's going to be a celebration when we get there. Just be part of that celebration,
Yeah.
Jenkins, what do you project for when Pulse Chain launches? I mean, what do you think the chart will be looking like? Because a lot of people will be buying into Hex, I believe, to sacrifice.
Yeah, I mean that is a tough one, because it's tough because you being on like streams and talking prices, people hold you to it. But I would say, as of right now, gun to my head, if I had to pick, what would happen, I would assume we just get a massive impulse up on all Hex charts, no matter what chain it's on. I would assume the Pulse Chain news alone and the hype behind that is definitely going to push up Hex. Another thing to consider too, fundamentally, a lot of Hexicans, I would assume, are sacrificing Hex itself, and I would imagine that the sacrifice address for Hex isn't going to be selling those coins. So it's kind of like people are exchanging their Hex for Pulse. They're not exchanging it for dollars, though, so it's not going to drop the price when they make that exchange. It's probably going to hold the price up. So a lot of Hex is being, stored away to push the price up, plus the hype alone. Man, in a perfect world, I would love to see I would love to see Hex get another run up like April 2020, the moment Pulse drops. That would be a perfect world. But I guess to answer your question safely, I see it's going to be bullish, to say the least, I would say.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see a bit of people trying to like pump the price, and then so that they can sacrifice at that point. Big bag or something. And Hex is such slow liquidity, like if you've got your USD sitting there, and or ETH, maybe you do a chart which is like easier to pump it against, and and then you just like, before you sacrifice, you just throw it all into Hex. That spikes the price up, and as the price spikes up, that's when you do your sacrifice. So you get that half-hour time-weighted average, so you can actually just kind of maximize your thing a little bit. And so, like, at first I was thinking, well, why wouldn't people just be buying in now to Hex to sacrifice later? But then I was thinking, oh, hang on, maybe they want to, like, if they do hold a really big bag of something, they could spike the price quite a lot within a half an hour, like, easily, because it's all just contracts, you know what I mean? They just, chuck in like 200 ETH and look at the price go,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to say too, with this big bull flag that we just had all of May, I want to say this if I had to guess the reason why that's happening, maybe this is the news, because this is around the time Richard Hart's like, okay, I'm officially forking ETH. It's called Pulse Chain. Here's kind of small details about it. Get excited. And once that sacrifice thing kind of got announced, I figured that, you know, people are going to start buying their hex now, let the price appreciate. And then I think this is kind of why we had such a run up. That can be one of a million reasons.
No, I think you're right. I think what you'll find is that as soon as he announced, the price started running up heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps.
Oh,
and
yeah.
at the time he said, I'd like to start it in a week. And around the time of that top, I'm pretty sure that's when the week was up. And when it wasn't announced on that Sunday, that's when the price started dipping.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
Going along in this channel. And maybe it is waiting for the news so that because people think it's going to pump on the news. And so when the news happens, everyone chucks in because they think it's going to pump. And that's going to actually pump the price.
Yeah, and I agree with you too. And there's another key thing to check out here. Like, no matter which way you look at it, it's bullish. And there's a million things that confirm it. So here's another cool thing. So yeah, let's just, in theory, if this is my theory, I can be totally wrong, but this is my theory. You know, Pulse Chain news comes out, the price is pumping, people are buying hacks, getting ready for the sacrifice. There's a little bit of a delay, price might, you know, dip down, and whatever the case is. The key thing is there's a huge impulse. Sellers start, you know, selling their money, you know, taking their profits, price dips down. There's this thing. Can you guys see this bottom part? Am I full screen? These red and okay, cool. Down here, this is called a MACD, and basically, all you guys need to know is that this shows like the volumes of how much money is, how much pressure is in like the buys or the sells. So as like, you know, the price went up, this huge green mountain formed. Whenever we start to hit the top of a mountain like this, price usually follows with a dip. As you can see, this dip right here started at the very end of this mountain, and then as price created like a red mountain at the bottom, price, you know, you saw the dip, and then it corrects itself as this mountain ends, and then this kind of gives you another indicator. What's key about this is this MACD throughout this huge impulse, all-time highs, and we've had plenty of like dips in the meantime. This MACD created sort of a triple top. So if I draw a line here, so we have a triple top on the MACD in terms of like sell pressure. So the sell pressure is just as strong as time goes on. But what's different in the chart is that dips aren't as big. So the first dip was huge. The second dip, not as big. The third dip, not as big. So the price is still going up while the sell pressure is still staying just as high. That's a bullish sign for Hex. So even if people are still selling as much as they were when we hit the first top, the price is outperforming. The buyers are outperforming the sellers. And keep in mind, this is all before Pulse Chain too. So that's just one of a million things that just makes me bullish on Hex right now.
Yeah, if people are sitting there on the sidelines wanting to sell, and like they're getting shaken out. That's the weak hands getting shaken out because it goes up and up and up, and they think, "Fuck, I want to get in now and reclaim those profits in US dollars or whatever," and they get nervous and they sell because they don't want it to go back down again, and that just looks like it's getting smaller and smaller, and you can see even just the size. Look how big those green mountains are compared to those little.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it makes well, like especially when you see how many people are staking, like there's this constant, like, you know, millions staked every hour, where it's, you know, like, and sometimes loads and sometimes just, you know, a little bit, but it's just constant, and that's just supply getting locked up and locked up. One thing I have been noticing, though, is there's a lot more smaller stakes happening now. Like people are staking for a week and 9 days and maybe a couple of weeks and stuff like that, and like big amounts, you know, for those periods of time.
Yeah, I know. I want to say, I don't know if the number off the top of my head currently, but I know. So back in February, when we had that big dip from the 1.8 penny top down to like 0.6 of a penny, we still had, I think, around 900 million to almost $1 billion staked, and we've seen that triple in the past 3 to 4 months in terms of just stakes alone. And the average year actually did go up. So there is a lot of, I'm sure all the big money stakers are short term, but overall, like the average stake rate is going up while the price in stakes has tripled. So it's positive. And I mean, those stakes alone, I like the transparency of Hex. Hex does a very good job at being cryptic, which crypto is designed to be, and also being fully transparent. So there's no silly stuff going on in between. I mean, you can't really manipulate it as much as you can manipulate another market, you know? Every market could be manipulated. All it takes is one big whale, but at least Hex, you see what's going on, you know?
Yeah. I think it's more it can attempt to manipulate. But it's risky trying to drive a market like that, isn't it? Because if it doesn't work, then you kind of lost out.
Yeah, and Hex is the last market you want to try being that whale that sells it down, because if you put money in trying to sell it down, and you're on the wrong end of that,
you'll never get back in at that price. And
yeah, be homeless very soon.
Like anytime we have seen any kind of big sell like that, it just gets eaten up so quickly, doesn't it? Like bargain, and everyone's just like rushing in to buy.
That's like, me. I'm one of those small fish that buys every dip till this day. So like I'm sure there's a bunch of people like that.
Yeah, like that wick that we saw down to just below 4 cents. Like it was just the quickest. You had to be so quick. Like I remember that, and I was thinking, oh, it's down to 0.2 cents. Like, gee, that's a bit low. Maybe it's worth buying here. And then it quickly went down, and it was like it was like minutes, you know, and then it's just like bought up.
Hey, Jenkiz.
Sorry. What was that? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
So you know how you're talking about like a 7.7 mark and an 11-cent mark. What sort of time frame? Like we're looking at 6 months to 12 months for those marks.
So 777. Once we break this all-time high of 6.4, I fully expect the 777 as like the next major target. I can see the 7.7. There's a lot of people in Hex. There's enough people out there that are talking dollars by the end of the year, $10. Like, so I'll try to be more of the conservative, realistic approach of just only technicals based on what technicals show me, assuming that this isn't Hex. But what the price is showing me is, once we break this, so right here, right now, boom, boom. Once we these are crooked, sorry, but once we kind of just fizzle around here and we finally did break, if I had to put my money on it, I would see a break, retest, 777 is the next target. That can be, what are we in, June 5th? That can be later June if we stay as strong as I think we are, or maybe July. But the 11-cent target, once we get past there, I mean, we're talking, this is tough. You're putting me in the spot, but I'd say probably safely like September-ish, we can expect something like that. But like I said, knowing Hex, if we do break this all-time high, we're probably going to do like a 3 to 5x, like how we always do. So, but I'm just going to pretend this isn't Hex and this doesn't do what Hex does, and I'll say, safely like 7 to 11 cents between the next like 3 weeks from now and a few months from now to hit those two targets.
Cool.
It's very hard to say, isn't it? Because of the fork, especially. Like, there'll be the announcement of the sacrifice stage. Maybe we'll see a pump up, then we'll see it drop back down a bit. Then as people are sacrificing, maybe they try to spike it up before they sacrifice. So who knows what we see during that period. And then maybe right before the fork, there's a little bit of a dip as people are trying to take people who tried to play just the sacrifice stage, sacrifice will buy now, wait for the sacrifice to happen, and then just before, I think it's going to be really, really high potentially. And so maybe then there's a dip before the fork. But then if you sell the dip before the fork, you're going to want to buy back in right before the fork so you double your coins. And so but then right after the fork, do we see a sell-off in ETH and like a run-up in PulseX? Like I can easily see PulseX getting up to the same price level as ETH. And
I do too, and I don't know, because I'm still thinking, like, is this set in stone yet that PHEX is going to be a different value off the bat, or are we starting it off at the same price? Do we know that now? I'm not the most pulse chain savvy guy, because I don't like. There's so many rumors and not enough facts for me that I just kind of stay out of it and wait till I get the confirmation. But what are you guys hearing so far?
Well, it will depend. Yeah, at the moment, all those uni liquidity pairs will come over, and he is going to make some way of so that the first person in can't just grab it all up really, really cheaply. I would imagine that it will start off probably around a similar price. Yeah, you're right in that sense. Yeah,
I am actually seeing something cool too. I'm seeing this right here, right now with the technicals. So Real quick, on the daily chart. So there's something called an engulfing candle. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, but basically what an engulfing candle is, you see a big push up. The next candle is like, a push down, and then you see the bear candle just fully being doubled. So basically the entire next candle engulfs the top of this bear candle and kind of eats it alive. That's a bullish move right here. So these three candles, it goes up, down, and then it just engulfs. That's a good sign. The last time we saw something like this, obviously this price just shot up nonstop for a week straight. If we look right here, right now, what are we seeing? A candle just like that. We're seeing potentially something almost similar to that, less a wick. This is a day chart candle. We have 20 hours to print something out. We can very well see something. Don't quote me. I would not be surprised to see this thing push up. It very well could, at least to 6.5 pennies. So keep an eye out for that the next 20 hours after the stream ends. Pay attention to that. But I would not be surprised if Hex does. If we do see an engulfing candle in the next 20 hours on this Hex chart right here, who knows what we can recreate April 2020. We can recreate May 2021. Either way, Sam 777 might come sooner than I just said, but we'll see. So that's something to pay attention to.
What are we at now? I'm just having a quick look. We're 5.7. So
5.79. So basically 5.8.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, to go hand in hand with that engulfing candle, that 5.8 was that major level I was telling you guys about. If I was trading, I'd put good faith that this 5.8 is finally going to turn into a true support line for us. And then if that does, that's just going to be an added confirmation that, boom, we take off. So this is a very interesting time. This is good timing for the stream to see what happens these next few days after, kind of going through this together.
So who do you think's selling, guys? Like, we're selling these big sell-offs, and it got to a point where we were like tailing the big sellers, the addresses, and looking at their behavior. Who do you think's selling off now? Just day traders, or is there back the whales?
I don't know, because I'm sure. You got to think of how many people put in money when Hex was at 0.0001, and there's at least some people have to be cashing out. There's a few people that got 1,000x on their investments. I would, if I saw 1,000x, I wouldn't blame anybody for selling. So I would assume it's a mixture between whales and people that got in super early, but. Yeah, it's tough to tell. I'm probably not the best person to ask for that, but if I had to guess, probably just a mixture of everybody. It's a good sign. Usually when you just create these massive impulses up on these all-time highs and everything, we usually follow those up with big corrections because there is so many people selling, But like I said, the buyers and Hex always, outweigh the sellers. But I don't really know who's selling.
Yeah, because there was a time there where we were tracking down on social media. They were tailing the wallets to see how much Hex they had, how much they were selling off, and how much they had left. And then they, update one. He's only got, a couple million Hex left, or a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
Kept selling.
There's been a lot of people exploding their accounts in emergency end stake, and I've been seeing that Hex whale buy lately. So a lot of people are missing out on a lot right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you never really know if that's hacks though, if it's actual behavior. Just. If it's stupidity, if it's them just like, no, I'm made a lot of money, I'm happy to emergency end stake it and take it out, or if it's just plain out hacks, it's hard to say. Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it's tough.
I think some people are uneducated too. You look at these people who sell off and lose thousands and thousands of dollars. Don't you think it's a little bit of a lack of education on the product? And
there has to be something there, because I've seen recently stakes ending a 4,000 day stake ending after 47 days, and the person misses out on 6 figures worth of Hex just to cash out on maybe a small 5-figure amount. And that literally makes no sense unless I really don't know the reasoning behind that, unless somebody really has an emergency where they had to utilize the emergency end stake. But even then, it's I don't know.
Oh, there is definitely one case that another Aussie crew member had a friend who basically did it and then realized he'd done it, and he was like, I didn't know, it's my own fault. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't realize how much of a penalty it would be. And he just took that as a learning experience, and he went and bought some more and staked it out long. You know,
That's good.
like,
I guess to Sammy's point, yeah, maybe it's just like uninformed about it, but at least you learn. Sometimes you learn the hard way, but as long as you learn from that and kind of adjust going forward. But I mean, so I guess here's a question I have, because me, like I told you guys, I'm fully staked and everything outside of my liquid for pulse chain. But have you guys had stake ended yet? And you guys go through that process of ending your stake?
yeah.
And how is it? Do they warn
yeah.
you about like fees and everything before you hit the button, or is it just kind of like you press one thing and it's done?
Yeah, I emergency end stake before big payday. I had like,
Okay.
I don't know, a couple of weeks to go, and I thought I'll just emergency unstake so I can get the big payday bonus, and staked it out. But yeah, it was pretty smooth. I didn't lose that much interest. And then yeah, no, I've not had any issues, but I think a lot of people like now are probably also emergency unstaking, maybe thinking, well, you know, I want more money USD to put into Pulse. So maybe they're thinking, well, I might end stake now and sit in USD. I don't know. But as Richard says on his stream, you know, you should be sitting in Hex, because you know, it's pretty much stable. It's either going to go sideways or up, you know.
Yeah. And I'm torn too.
There is a
Sorry,
big
go ahead.
warning thing if you're doing it early. And it used to be less, and now I think they made it a bit more, a few more stripes going around and stuff like that.
Make sure you're aware.
Yeah. And it is a bit, even when you're just normally end staking it, there's a little bit of fear factor. I think if we're doing anything with crypto, I think it's good to have a little bit of fear factor, though, you know what I mean? Just to make sure you're doing it properly. You know, make sure when you're transferring it to another wallet, to another address, that you've got the address right. Don't get too blasé about it. I mean, like, if you copy it and it just one little thing is left off, and then you do it, and then you just fucked, you've lost that, you know. So there's no one to cry to it about it, you know. You got to take responsibility for all of that yourself. So, you know, it's good to just be a bit nervous when you're doing anything with crypto, I think.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. And two, like with the whole sacrifice, I don't know if I'm just stingy about my hex, but like accumulating liquid hex, I'm like, man, I really don't want to like sell any hex, but I also want to just sacrifice an adequate amount for pulse, and like, but I really don't want to just give away any of my hex coins. So I'm kind of torn, but I'm gonna do, I guess, the right thing, because like I said, I'm not missing out on this next project of pulse. I'm just gonna get in, and I have a safe amount of hex for myself right now, but I'm like, yeah, right now, like as I see the prices consistently growing and growing, I'm like, ooh, do I really want to give this up?
Yeah, I think they're really different value propositions, and I've really yo-yoed back and forth about how much I end up sacrificing, and I think in the end, like, obviously wait until we got all of the details,
Yeah.
and I'll definitely sacrifice something, and it'll definitely be because I might even just sacrifice what I originally put into Hex, you know, like kind of take out so that all my hex is kind of gravy, and then take out what I originally put in and just put that into Pulse.
Yeah.
But so many ways you can rationalize it and stuff. I think hedging among all three is a really good idea. Like having some liquid, having your stakes, and having some Pulse. And the ratio that you do that to, I think, like, you're just going to have to, you know, play the game. Because the other thing is let's say like day one comes and you want to get that bonus for sacrificing on day one. You also want to have a little bit left over. What if Hex does a 10x by the end of the sacrifice period?
Yeah.
Like, a bit to chuck in there as well, you know? So I think just really having lots of options all of the time, and you pretty much can't go wrong. Like, it's really just like, how much money do you want to make? You know,
yeah, it's
like,
a win-win at the end of the day. Yeah.
win, and like, and then when you have this big bag of Pulse, what do you do with it? You know, there's going to be choices then as well. Like, do you throw that into a liquidity pool? Do you delegate that to a validator to stake? Do you just hold on to it? Well, obviously you put it into a delegation if you're just going to hold on to it. So, but then do you wait for it to pump up and then sell it? Or do you just put it in, you know, chuck it away and just like Hex, like leave it for years and see what happens? You know, like there's so many options, and if Hex, yeah, like, so I think just having lots of options and then seeing what happens, and so that you can tinker, and you know, and
yeah, absolutely.
Chain, like you're going to be able to put liquidity on for a week and then go, no, I don't like that, I'm just going to delegate it. or you delegate it at the start, and then you see all these people earning all these liquidity mining rewards, and you go, shit, I'm going to try some of that. You know, you're going to be able to move around and do things when it's very low fees to transact. What do you think will happen to the ETH price after the fork?
Oh, I don't. That's tough. I would say after the fork, I would expect the price to still go up on both chains because Hex is still Hex at the end of the day, and not everyone that first hears about Hex is going to know about Pulse. And you know, there's a lot of people that still are just barely learning about Ethereum and the network and the tokens that are built on top of it. So there's still a lot of people. I guess I think Hex. I think all of crypto still has a major lack of awareness throughout the entire world. But I would say maybe something like I call these manipulation wicks where like price is going to go up, but we might see like a liquidity capture, although there is no trading. But like I call those like liquidity captures or manipulation wicks where like price might shoot down, hit like a major level at 4.5 or like hit that 3.5. I had this 2.5 penny range circle just because I'm like, there's still a small chance we can get down there. I don't think it will. That's why I didn't talk about it. But like, yeah, I could definitely see something where like a manipulation and then boom, like a huge impulse following it. But I would say overall, yeah, I think the price is going to go up once the smoke settles on both chains. I can very well see, you know, long-term dollar Hex on both chains. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I actually expect that, not financial advice by any means, but I think Hex is going to perform well on both chains. Also, too, you got to keep in mind, ETH 2.0, that's going to be like the mainstream thing, even though it's not as good as half the stuff that's already being built on Ethereum. People that just invest without knowing, like the big Bitcoin maxis today, they're going to just, you know, they're going to keep their money in Ethereum just knowing that 2.0 comes out. So I think it's going to be good for ETH Hex too. So, yeah, I think it's going to be bullish on both chains. Mm-hmm. Short and long term.
Yeah. Which one do you think like will be a higher price after a year?
That's tough. I mean, I would say ideally we would want to say like PHEX, but if we're coming from PHEX just starting like around 0, I would say EHEX probably, because the thing that I was thinking about is like, okay, I guess, and maybe I'm wrong, but I guess the whole approach of Pulse Chain is the lower fees with the more capacity. I guess it's like 4x more capacity or whatnot. Ethereum's fees are going down temporarily. Who knows what's going to be in a week or a day, but temporarily they are down. So people that just need to address that issue of low fees, how much lower are they going to be if Ethereum's fees stay low? So that's what makes me question. Like maybe the Ethereum chain might be stronger short term or whatnot, but if Ethereum just kind of just dabbles around and changes everything like every night, like how it has been, it seems like. I would say it'd be cool to see the PHEX kind of outperform, but I like the original, like the OG Hex and the ETH chain. Like I want to see just Hex what it is now, do its thing, and nothing stop its path. I hope that PHEX and EHEX don't like contradict each other in any way, shape, or form. I hope they don't compete or whatnot. But yeah, I would say I would expect like maybe a year that Hex on the ETH chain is probably still going to be higher, but ideally we probably hope for it to be higher in the Pulse network. And that's probably a hot take. I'm sure no one probably thinks that except for me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that. I don't hope for it that either beats one or the other. I don't really care as long as they're both going. As long as they're both,
yeah, of course.
Great. That's what I hope for. But like, I can see Pulse being worth way more, and maybe more volatile as well. Because like if it's more of a commitment to buy or sell on the ETH chain because it costs more. On the Pulse, everyone's going to be like going in and out of things and trying to time things, and there's going to be a whole lot of smaller players coming in, and I think there's going to be a lot more smaller stakes because like if you've got a whole lot of Hex there and you know you're not going to be doing stuff for a month, why not stake it if it's hardly going to cost you anything to stake and end stake it? Like there's no reason not to. And it's going to behave very differently, I think. It'd be really interesting to see. But yeah, I can see it being a higher price after a year.
It could too, and also too, if you factor in, like you said, the liquidity too. There's way less money, obviously, in the Pulse chain as opposed to the EHEX right now. So it's gonna be definitely more volatile for sure. But yeah, depending on how much the price shoots up, depending on what the liquidity's contribution is to it, I wouldn't be surprised by any means, but I'm just trying to be maybe not necessarily the devil's advocate, but kind of just take a different approach. Like there is I wouldn't be shocked to see, eHex still do its thing, but just knowing what Hex did and Richard Hart just creating this. So what Hex did to address all the issues in crypto, and now what Pulse is doing to address all the issues on Ethereum. Yeah, I mean, probably it's probably going to perform better over time. It's just maybe who knows in a year or not. I think both of them are going to stay volatile.
Yep. T-Bird, actually, just before you, like I know that it'll be time weighted. The thing is though that if the USDC price of Hex goes up by the end of the SAC phase, then there is a possible scenario where you would have been better off sacrificing at the end of the sacrifice period rather than at the start. And just this is really interesting what you put up here. Like, yeah, that's absolutely true. Like, if Pulse gets a direct fiat ramp, that's going to be massive, and because otherwise we're going to have to go through ETH to get back into. Probably, well, at least we'll know there'll be an ETH bridge, so then we'll be able to get back to ETH, and then we'll have to pay the high fee to get back on an exchange, and that's how we get back into feed. And the reverse if we ever want to buy. But I was listening to the Pulse chat this morning, and there was a guy in there from what was it, Ventrix.io, or I can't remember, but he was a person who. They had a wallet where you could do atomic swaps with all sorts of different chains that they'd been developing, and originally they went over to EOS, and they just got really, really bad. Like, they put all this millions of dollars of development into making this thing, and because they've got customers that they're talking to, which are like investment banks all around the world, like especially in Asia and Africa and stuff, and they all want to invest in crypto, but they have no way of doing it at the moment, and so they were trying to, and they've got kind of like memorandums of understanding signed with them and partnerships signed with them, and they are trying to build out their kind of DEX wallet to be able to help onboard those people, and like really big kind of investment banks and stuff, and he was just in the Pulse chat, like chatting about all this sort of stuff. And he was, he'd been in, they tried to do it on EOS, and they just got no support at all from Block One, like the people who made $4 billion on the EOS ICO, and just had a really, really bad experience with them. And then talked about some other people, some other, like pools or something like that, who'd also had built some great stuff, but it had really bad experience. And he was really excited about Pulse because at the moment they can't bring these people on because the Ethereum fees are just so high and the Bitcoin fees are so high. And so, but if Pulse is cheap, like he wants to like build something like for those investment banks in Asia and Africa and stuff, and
yeah.
And he was in Pulse chat, just chatting away and like answering questions, and like it was great to hear him and stuff like that,
But
so we said, oh yeah, go ahead, Tammy.
Sorry. So like Pulse would be like another ETH. Like, it's such a great opportunity for anyone. If you look at ETH and how it skyrocketed, you could think as Pulse chain being like another ETH chain, couldn't you?
Well, it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fork of ETH. It's exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same. It's faster. It will be faster and it'll be cheaper. And it has a different security model.
Yes.
But if it's a good enough security model.
So with T-Bird's question, actually, or not question, but what he said, what's it called? So when there's a direct fiat on-ramp to Pulse, is that something set in stone? Is there going to be a direct fiat on-ramp to Pulse to where like you can buy Hex directly, or we still, what do we know about that so far?
Well, there's nothing set in stone at the moment, and Richard has just said it's available. It can easily be done, but it's just about people doing it. It's about the exchanges, buying it and listing it.
That would be massive. That's a huge factor in, I guess, the overall price and expectation. If it's that convenient, on top of being cheaper with the fees and just way more convenient, like it's really a no-brainer at that point.
Potential.
Hopefully that happens actually.
Yeah, but the weird thing is, why isn't Hex on any of these big exchanges?
Oh yeah,
gate kept, but maybe Pulse might be a game changer and change a lot of views about.
Yeah, let's hope. And that was why it was really encouraging listening to this guy in Pulse Chat, because as soon as it starts happening, then everyone has to jump on board.
Hey, questions. So that all the new PRC20 coins that will be coming out, what's your take on what will happen with them? And are you interested, or do you think like you'll be buying some up really cheap?
It just depends first and foremost on the price. So if like the prices on the PRC20 tokens are just gonna like be just dirt cheap, I don't see why not. I mean, it's worth an attempt, at least like the bigger players. But I mean, I would assume that all the other PRC20 tokens are going to take a lot longer to develop, because I feel like Pulse Chains, although it's not designed for the Hexicans directly, it's kind of meant for the Hexicans. Richard Hart just decided to help out everyone else with that, you know? But with those, I mean, yeah, it just depends on price, essentially. I mean, I don't mind buying discounted anything in this world. So if the prices are right, I'll be on them.
Same here. I'm actually looking forward to going PRC20 shopping.
Oh yeah, seriously.
What are you looking at?
Oh, all the big ones like what are they? Comp, Matic, Arve. I have to get a little bit of that, but basically look at the top 100. That's what I'd be looking at. Put $5 in each of them. You never know. Like crypto,
you never know.
But yeah. Jenkins, as you were saying, it could take a long time for these to actually take off, because what are they? They're just like copies. They're not the Ethereum version. They're a Pulse version. And where will they find their value? What do you think traders would be interested in trading them because of the cheap Pulse fee?
I would assume so. So I guess the best way that Richard Hart's approaching this with on-ramping people that don't know anything about Hex or whatnot is just giving everyone that airdrop. So if you have, X amount of tokens on, MetaMask right now, you're going to just wake up one day with new tokens and everyone's going to be like, wow, where's this money coming from? What can I do with it? Can I buy? Can I sell? So that's just a great way to get people involved. And if there's a thing where, the fees the fees will be way cheaper, it's like, wow, that's going to, catch everyone's attention. And then also too, like if there is that direct fiat on ramp where it's just convenient, that people are going to be like, wait, why don't I just do this? Buy the coin that I've been buying on Ethereum for way less fees at a way bigger discount. Like you would imagine it would go to the exact same route by nature, just because it's called the same exact thing, just with the P in front of it.
Yeah, true.
What do you guys think of like the one idea that Richard threw out about liquidity mining? I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but one idea he had was as he copies all of these PRC20s over to the Pulse chain, taking a certain percentage and making more of each of that coin, and you could do like 5% or you could do 100% or whatever, and putting that into liquidity pools for mining rewards. So when people give liquidity, like give both sides of a pair, or even if maybe it was just one side, they lock it in as a liquidity thing, as an incentive. Not only do they get the 0.3% off the top as people swap, but they get this time release of rewards of that PRC20. So they're kind of diluting those PRC20s, but then they're giving them as rewards to people who who put in liquidity. So all of a sudden you'd have all of these liquidity pairs like stacked up with liquidity, like ready-made, because people are going to want to earn those rewards.
Why not?
Yeah. Exactly. It makes too much sense if you think about it, for everybody, not just Hexicans. Anybody that just gets part of this, like it just makes too much sense. So like with Hex, the first thing I realized, because I've messed around with tons of cryptos, like I was telling you, so many rug pulls in my past, but like Hex is just one of those coins just made way too much sense. Like you try to break it down and find something wrong, it's like there's nothing wrong with, there's no flaws there. Now it's like Pulse Chain's really just going to take that to the next level of like, it just all makes too much sense, especially if he's taking that approach with the liquidity mining and rewarding the people who put the money in. It's like duh, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the other side of the argument is that he's fucking around with all of these other tokens, tokenomics. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
printing more supply.
But he's got the brains. Richard Hunt's got the brains and the know-how. He knows what he's doing, so why not? You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They hate him because he's the OA. People hate him because he's the OA now. They're gonna hate him for whatever he does. So he's a smart man. Whatever he does, I know it'll work out fine. You know.
Yeah, love him or hate him, like what he created is performing, and whether he's a good or bad guy in this world, it's not going to change what he's created because it's locked. You know, the code's written, it's locked in the smart contract. So that's the good. I feel like too many people tie the negative aura around Richard's head or Richard's name and tie that into Hex, and it's like that's a completely illogical approach to just looking at the opportunity that you have, and it's like. It's like you just can't really change the mind of a skeptic. Like if people just don't want to believe something, that's on them. Like none of us are losing any money by someone not buying Hex. I mean, yeah, if they're not buying, the price goes up a little bit slower, but we'll be fine. You know, it's gonna go up regardless. But yeah, that's interesting to think about. I'm not completely sure though.
It's a tricky one. Look, he's really kind of expanding out the possibilities of what you can do. And as soon as he throws out something, such a new, fresh idea like that, you like I've noticed a lot of people's reaction is, no, you can't do that. Like, you can't just print extra. That's what the government does. You can't print just extra things and that's all these people's projects, you know. And my reaction was, oh, that's a really smart idea. Like, because you're going to have all of these big whales of these coins, and a lot of them very might well just dump it for as much as they can and get back over to ETH. And so he wants, and if they do that, then those tokens that they just dump down to nothing, like maybe there'll be people coming in to buy, but they could also just kill those tokens on the Pulse side, you know. Like, who wants to buy something that's just dumped 99% or 80%, 90%, you know? Like,
yeah,
yes.
We're going to be early, though. Like, basically, when we go Pulse shopping, PRC 20 shopping, we're going to get bargain prices. Like, we're the first in, you know? So, it doesn't matter the price. A couple of bucks.
I can't do the scattergun. I can't do the scattergun approach so much. Like, I think it's too much like gambling. For me, it's just like, for me, that says, I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm just going to bet a little bit on everything. And I'd rather know what I'm putting my money into, you know what I mean? So, like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it's all a chance. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with price, but it's crypto. Anything can happen. So,
but you've got a better chance that it's going to, like, you know that you're going to buy Hex and you're going to stake it. You're going to do amazing. You know, you've got Pulse has so much room to grow. Like, let's say $1 billion USD is thrown in at the sacrifice stage. That puts it at about number 100 in the coin ranking. So it's got, like, you know, it's got a lot to grow to get up to BSC and Ethereum, you know what I mean? And as more and more people use it, and because it's a deflationary coin, you can see it going up in price. And so that's also a really good kind of like deal. But buying Chainlink or whatever on the Pulse side, I'm just like, that's just like, it's just a lottery ticket, I feel.
Yeah, and it's like, my biggest priority, I say, if you're going on the Pulse, like, you're going on the Pulse for Pulse itself, whatever that coin X may be, and then the Hex first and foremost. But once the smoke kind of settles and you just see how things are playing out, and you get a little bit of a chart to kind of see everything, it's like, maybe you can throw out some silly money to the side on that. But yeah, definitely not going in with that approach. Like, let me just get everything. I'm going to be like, let me just get my Hex that I need, my P Hex, my Pulse, E Hex, and then whatever else happens. Like, yeah, if it's discounted, I'll take it. Discounts are always good. They're not going to be around forever. Anything in crypto, like the silliest projects can go up. So, but I definitely wouldn't bank on it, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was going to say, like, that's why you're always careful. You know, sorry about my dog. She's going nuts. I tied her up and now she's going bananas. Can you hear her? Is it really noisy?
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Yeah, so I was going to say, like, you just never put in what you can't afford to lose, or, the money that you're going to need. Don't put it in. But, if these coins are like, you're getting them for like next to nothing, like,
But you'll be getting them for next to nothing if everyone is dumping them. And if everyone is dumping them, like, is it really a smart move to buy something that everyone's just dumping?
I know what you're saying. I know, but wouldn't you kick yourself if you heard stories of someone putting $5 into something and then, making like a couple of $100,000? You know what I mean?
That's just FOMO.
It's risk and reward.
How much? What percentage of your stack do you chuck on the lottery tickets?
Well, because I'm getting free pulse anyway. I'm going to think, well, why can't I put a little bit of that in?
What free pulse are you getting?
Well, the airdrop, and we get the airdrop on our ETH.
Oh, you mean you'll get these free PRC 20 coin, like you're holding Chainlink or something now, and so you'll get a free.
I'll be getting pulse, like free pulse.
But you won't get free pulse. You'll get free. How do you get free pulse?
The airdrop.
What airdrop?
The pulse airdrop.
There's no pulse airdrop. What are you talking? You mean for
you get pulse versions of your coins, but I guess X token just from the sacrifice or whatever the pulse token is.
Yeah, but don't you get your free pulse for holding ETH? And you got 30 days.
All you'll get is to make.
I know, but it's going to be that everything's going to be that cheap anyway. That little amount could, why not? You know what I mean?
You're living in a dream, Sammy.
If I come back in 5 years and say I've made X because I purchased X, you'll go, oh, damn, I wish I did that too. No, I'm not telling anyone what to do. None of my advice is financial. But, crypto is amazing. It can do great things. We've all seen it. And we've all been shocked by what it can do. So, it's up to you whether you want to take the risk or not. But I will be. And I'll just be sitting in it.
Yeah, everyone make their own decisions based on what they're willing to risk or whatnot. But I would say if anybody's listening, it's not financial advice. But if I would just stick to Hex right now, based on my experience, like Hex on the ETH chain, Hex sacrifice, Pulse sacrifice phase, and then P Hex when that kind of gets the ball rolling and comes out. That's all I'm focused on for the next as far as I can see right now. That's my only focus, and then I'll worry about the rest once I kind of once I fill up those cups adequately enough, to feel comfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but and the pulse that you get from the sacrifice, you're going to be valuing that because especially if you sacrificed Hex. Like if you sacrificed your Hex for that pulse, people are not going to be selling that cheaply at all. Like,
I hope not, because like I said, I don't want to lose my Hex in the sacrifice, but I'm going to, so they better not be selling cheaply.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not selling it. I'm gonna hold on to it. We're gonna need it anyway. We're gonna need it to end stake, restake, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but hopefully it'll be like when it was over on QuickSwap, where it's just cost bugger all. Like you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
If it's just cents or whatever, it's like who gives a shit.
So do you guys know much? I know we don't have a lot of information on Pulse, and this is why we can't really say too much about it. But in regards to the yield farming and that Richard wants to start, do you have any ideas, or do you think you'll participate? Or not enough information?
So for me personally, I'm just gonna do what I'm doing now. I have all my stakes loaded. I'm just loading up on Liquid Hex right now for the sacrifice. I'll take my copies and whatnot, and I'm just gonna see what happens from there. I'm just gonna, unless more details come out that give me a bigger reason to do it. But like I said, with all the speculation, I don't really know my full approach. But as of right now, as of June 5th, 2021, in the States, I'm just gonna ride it out with what I have and just load up and sacrifice a good chunk and just see where we go from there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for the details. That's a pretty radical idea of printing more, and then so that you can have liquidity mining. Or the other option is to have Pulse, like set aside some Pulse tokens for the liquidity mining. I think I will do the liquidity mining if that's an option, because I think that's you can earn a lot of money doing liquidity mining, and especially when you compound it, like, that quickly runs out though. So I don't know how long that will last.
Do you guys have an idea? Because like I said, I wasn't a day one hexagon, so I didn't really see how the process played out. But say the sacrifice phase starts right here, right now. We sacrifice whatever. How long is the grace period? I guess would you assume between the moment we sacrifice and the moment we actually get our pulse that pops up, in our MetaMask or whatnot?
Yeah, we have no idea, and like, some are theorizing that it'll be a 30-day sacrifice and he'll fork immediately after. He'll also want to have it all in place, like on day 33 or something. Others are theorizing that it'll be a sacrifice stage and then we won't know when the fork will be happening. So it really is a sacrifice,
It really, to the truest extent.
It could be 2 months. It could be 6 months. As he always says, it's software development, and or longer. We have no idea. He's not going to do it until he's 100% confident in it.
And
So
maybe that's another reason why it's delayed. I know Richard said in his stream the other day that because instead of signing for your pulse for the sacrifice, you actually can do it from any wallet. So that's why it's sort of prolonged the process. But I believe the same thing, Blue. I'm looking at what you said, where they're trying to reduce that amount of time for when you do sacrifice to when you receive those coins in your wallet. And being now it's a 30 or 37-day period, hopefully, it'd be good if they could make it at the end of that time. It'd be quite convenient for that to happen.
Yeah, but it might not. And T-Bird, you're wrong there, mate. You can't say that at all. Like, you have no. It's all of this US dollars is going to be in a big pot, and there's going to be 1.15 trillion pulse, and it's going to be divided out according to when and how much you put in. So it's impossible to predict stuff like this, because if only $100,000 gets put in that pot, then we're getting a lot more pulse, and pulse will be worth a lot less. If $2 billion gets put in that pot, we're going to get a lot less pulse, but the pulse will be worth a lot more. So,
like what Sapper said, feels like we're going back into the AA. Risky.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not a daily thing where you're getting paid out and printing your own. It's different. It's one big kind of pot.
Yeah,
it's like one big AA day over 30 days. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if he even shortens it and makes it just 2 weeks.
Hey, can you guys clarify? So the first 7 days is the best time to get in your pulse, because it's starting at 0. And obviously I know it goes by volume of how much you're delegating or sacrificing. So Richard said, so every day after that 7 days, it's going to go up 4%. So are we talking every day it's going to go up 4% or just 4%?
I think after 7 days, I wanted to say it was going to start doing the 4% daily. The last time I looked into it, that was like a week or two ago, though.
3 days have been talked about, where it'll be the same thing. 7 days have been talked about. 30 days have been talked about for the whole period. 14 days have also been mentioned. It's called a bonding curve, Sammy, and it basically means, like, if you put it in at the start, it'll be worth a lot more, and as the period goes over time, you'll get less and less for how much you put in. But this is in US dollars. So if the price of Hex is at a certain place here, and you're getting like 3x difference between here and here, if the price in terms of US dollars of Hex goes up 10x, you would have been better off putting it in at the end rather than at the start. So that's where the gameplay will come in.
But
and
is it 4%? Is that bonding curve causing a 4% of the price increase per day? Not just
4.2 or something like that, yeah.
Per day? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there'll either be a 3-day period where it's all the same and then it curves, or it'll be a 7-day period and then it curves, or it'll be a straight line. So it'll be something like that.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
But it's the thing is if you do like that bonding curve, and the price of hex is not moving or going down by the end of the period, then you get less and less people sacrificing because the people at the start will be get so advantaged. So maybe he'll do a shorter. There's so many variables you can play with all of this stuff, and it is hard to predict what the price will do over time, and it's very hard. Like the one thing you can predict is like that people will FOMO in, probably, especially if he incentivizes it.
Yeah. And I think what he's trying to do too is like kind of switch the approach, because like hex, if you're a day 1 hexagon, it wasn't as good as being like a day 18 to 30 hexagon. I think if he can control it in a perfect world, he would want the day 1ers to make the most return. And as the time goes on, you get less and less. So that alone tempts me to want to be a day 1 and go heavy in. But I think essentially, if we just think about this years from now, I don't know if it will matter. Don't get me wrong. It won't be a massive difference whether it's day 1 or day 30 or 7. I hope not, at least, because I want to get in early.
We're getting in early, Jenkins.
I'm not missing this one. I'm not waiting a single day this time around.
I've got so many direct messages from a lot of the community, asking so many questions about Pulse. And I thought maybe even once we get more details, a lot clearer, I might make a video instead of writing something out and then just send it to all these people and give them the update, because they're just waiting like everyone else.
Yeah, it's all just speculation. It's all one big question mark, and that's why I kind of just stay away from it. There's enough educated people in the hex community that take care of that for me. Actually, I watch all you guys to learn my stuff. I'm just like, let me just sit back and wait till I get the facts before I start talking what I have to talk about.
Yeah. There's not enough information yet, but I know Richard's working really hard on it, and I know he wants to get it out. As per his last stream, he said, they said, will there be a grace period? And he said, well, possibly, but I just want to get it out. So once it's ready, I don't think there'll be a lot of grace period to say, it's opening this time. This is the address and this is the coins that you can sacrifice. Go,
Yeah, I think everybody, including Richard himself, we all just want to just start this and not necessarily get it over with, but get it over with. Just do it, and let's just get this ball rolling and just stop speculating and just start changing the world, changing the blockchain even further.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey guys, Unrekt, I saw him in the convo. How you going, Unrekt? He had a unbelievable situation, just to let everyone know. Like, his car, and like he showed us the security footage from the neighbor's kind of camera. Like, his car was kind of just parked. He was just unpacking his stuff. Some people drove past, reversed back, jumped out, grabbed all of the stuff, grabbed his laptops, 3 Trezors. Luckily, he's all restored it, and he's got all his crypto, and that's all okay. But like Fed income, like, everyone just really take care of your stuff. Don't leave. Just be extra careful with your laptops and your Trezors and where you put your seeds and all that kind of thing. Like, the last thing you want to do is like have all this amazing stuff and just get it all. Yeah, it's really, really horrible to think about. Also, before I forget, like, we're having an Australian Hex meetup. Unfortunately, our country is a prison, so we can't invite you, Jenkins.
Man,
we can't get out, and other people probably can't get in, or they have to spend 2 weeks in a bloody hotel or something in quarantine. And anyway, like, we're having a meetup. We're going to front run the LA Vegas meetup by a day, or 12 hours or something. Like, because we'll be in Nimbin on Thursday. I've got my ticket, so I'm going to be down there. Everyone is more than welcome to come. Sammy Chicker, you've decided not to come, but got a few things on or whatever. But
I'm in lockdown, bro. I can't leave.
Are you serious? You can't even leave at all.
We're in lockdown still. Didn't you know?
You are, but I just don't think of it like that. Like, you actually can't. That's.
I know. I've had to cancel heaps of things, but yeah, we can't even leave the state right now. Can't even go regional. Or maybe you can go regional, but you can't go far.
Mate, you just have to jump in your car and then cross the border at night time, like in the middle of the
guys. You're doing Nimbin the first day, Brisbane the second day, and Stradbroke Island the third day. I mean, seriously, why couldn't you just choose one place, or at least next time just chill? Because you're going to be spending every day traveling. Like,
It's bugger all. Like you go to Brizzy, it's only a couple of hours down to Nimbin, or a few hours down to Nimbin, and then you hang out in Nimbin for a night, have some fun and everything. Then you spend the next day just a couple of hours back up to Brizzy or whatever it is, and then you're hanging out in Brizzy for that night, and then you just next day you catch a ferry over to Stradbroke Island.
yeah, I reckon next time we do it, we should just do it in one place because I just like to chill. I don't like to spend my days like going on a bus or train.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a waste of time when you can just one. Do you agree?
Oh,
Hey, at least you guys could get together. I'm just stuck over here. I'm just listening to you guys talk about the fun you're gonna have. I'm like, okay, cool.
But you're not going to Vegas?
You're not going to Vegas?
No, I'm actually not. I'll be there in January, but not specifically for the Hex event. Because, here's the thing. Like I said, I'm new to social media, so I had no clue about this till I actually made my Twitter. I'm like, okay, so this is what everyone's doing. I'm learning everybody and everything. And it's like, yeah, it's a little short for me. A lot of things going on. But I'll be there eventually, but not for the Hex event.
Yeah.
Oh,
unfortunately.
Another one because they're going to have so much fun over there.
Yeah.
Crash up the car and go to Red. They're all getting discounts on club entry, and hopefully they can do it again next year. So guys that from America and all around you couldn't come, and us guys from Australia can come in Vegas. I've never been to Vegas. I want to go.
Oh yeah, you guys will definitely start seeing me going forward in these in-person events once we get the ball rolling in the community and everything. But yeah, at least short term, I won't be around. I'm just going to be here in the computer screen as an icon going over the charts for a while.
But you know what is good about it, though? I'm kind of happy that I'm not going because all that money that I would have spent going to Vegas, I'm going to be sacrificing anyway.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I have ever since I've gotten into Hex and this whole pulse sacrifice, I've been so stingy about every dollar I spend. It's like every dollar I get, I'm just like, this has to go into this opportunity window I have now, and I'll spend my cash later on. But right now, we got some work to do,
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so I would say, so I don't mean to cut it short on my end, but I do have to get going soon. But I would say for at least the technicals, that daily chart we looked at, that engulfing candle we just pointed out, keep an eye out the next 20 hours. You might see something special there. That'd be best case scenario. But it'll be cool to touch base with you guys in a few days, see how the price kind of plays out after everything we just went over. So let's definitely get back together sometime.
You know where the trippiest place in America is Niagara Falls. Have you ever been there?
Isn't that Canada?
That is, yeah. Well, sorry, it's Canada. Yeah. Well, it's both. It's on the border, I think.
Border.
Both sides.
It is. Yeah.
That's a bizarre place, man. That's a total Disneyland city or town now. Anyway,
I've never been.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's probably a good place to end it all. So, is there any last?
You.
Yeah, thanks heaps for coming on.
It really was, and it was good to see all your TA. It's really exciting, and we're all going to be in it. Helping each other out and sharing ideas, and it's been really enjoyable to see your take on it all.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for inviting me on, and it was good meeting both of you formally. It was pretty cool. You guys are some good people. I like the work that both of you guys do, so let's keep doing what you guys are doing. You guys are definitely making a massive contribution. Before I got onto the social media world, you guys were people that I saw, so you guys definitely, I'm probably one of thousands of people that, use you guys to get information as a resource, but don't get the chance to say it to you. So just keep doing what you're doing, no matter, how many setbacks you guys have, keep it up. I know the Hex community appreciates it.
Thanks.
Yeah, and thank you, mate. Yeah, and thanks, Sammy, for coming on again. Any last words before we go?
Thanks for having me, Blue Bum. I wish it was warm here like it was up there. You got your T-shirt on. It's sunny, but it's freezing here.
Yeah. Mate, Cairns is a place to be.
I know. I think I'm going to move there one day.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
buy the dip, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks. Nice to see everybody again. And
thanks to everyone in the chat. Love you guys. See you later.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
That's how cross-offs work. So, I don't know. I spend all day arguing with people on Twitter. They're stupider than me, poorer than me, and less successful, and less eloquent, and I guess they're more modest, so they've got that going for them. And it just, after a while, it just beats my brain, and I know everything I'm bad at, I know everything I suck at, and these guys just suck worse. It's terrible. never learned anything from the market. If you can't understand why Bitcoin is in the top 10, you need to shut the fuck up. If you cannot understand the market you are participating in, you need to shut the fuck up. If you cannot understand your competitors' weaknesses, trends, you need to shut the fuck up. If you cannot understand how to take their customers from them, you need to shut the fuck up. I started my first business out of my front yard from fucking scratch, from nothing, right? I've been a serial success over and over and over again. I retired 2003, 6 years before Bitcoin was fucking invented. I've made and lost more money than they will have ever earned in their entire life. I've hired and fired more people than they will ever interact with professionally in their entire life. I called the 20K Christmas 6 months ahead of time. If you cannot understand why Bitcoin is in the top 10, you need to shut the fuck up. If you cannot understand the market you are participating in, you need to shut the fuck up. If you cannot understand your competitors' weaknesses, trends, you need to shut the fuck up. If you cannot understand how to take their customers from them, you need to shut the fuck up. Understand why Bitcoin is in the top 10, you need to shut the fuck up. If you cannot understand the market you are participating in, you need to shut the fuck up. If you cannot understand your competitors' weaknesses, trends, you need to shut the fuck up. If you cannot understand how to take their customers from them, you need to shut the fuck up. Because you do not know what you are doing. You do not understand the market that you are participating in. If you do not understand your competitors, their strengths, their weaknesses, how to take their customers from them, how to get customers that they don't have access to, how to outprice them, if you don't understand these things, you don't understand